Alright everyone, so today we're going to be working on installing an intake, the Injen intake on my F30 BMW. Here's the instruction manual that it comes with, and I know this is not going to show up on camera, so I try to get really close. It is really small, it's black and white, and it's not super detailed. But I've looked this over a few times, it actually looks pretty straightforward, but I'm going to show you guys anyways, so let's get into it. And I'll kind of detail everything you need. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is actually pick up here, and this is your MAF sensor plug. So in the instruction manual it actually says pull this plug, so we're going to go ahead and do that right now. And it's just a clip, and I know these things are not fun. You got to try to get your finger in there and push that thing in and pull at the same time. Okay, so that took a while. This is the clip that you have to push down on, and the hard part is you're pushing down to make that little tiny thing on top move and release while pulling, and it's really stiff. So just take your time. Next step, and also in that same area, is a 6mm very small hex, which releases the little worm clamp down there. So I'm gonna do that, get that released. Sorry about the dog barking in the background, it's my neighbor's dog. Not much I can do about that. Okay, I think that's loose enough. So now all you have to do is release all these little, like, kind of, I guess you're calling grommets, and you can basically pull up on this thing. So there's one, there's two, and if you're loose enough, this will come out. So I'm just gonna double check that. You don't want to break anything. Alright, so it's this grommet, the front, that grommet at the side, and this one was especially hard. Got a little scared I was gonna break something, so I just went really slow, and I put you guys down so that I could focus on it. And now should just be able to lift this box up. And so the only thing holding this back in now at this point is the MAF tubing going into the pipe underneath it. I'm gonna go really slow, and I'm gonna try to separate the two. And now the next step is actually to get the MAF out of there. It's a T20. Down there. Pull out really gently. You're going to take off that bolt, which is going to release this entire upper air hose, or lower air hose, whatever you want to call it. On that hose there is this little clamp, so you don't want to pull on that because that's some sort of vacuum line you don't want to mess with, but you can release it. Now that you got that hose out of the way, it's time to bring in the Injen hose. Okay, and that slides right into there, and you don't want to really tighten anything down yet because you don't know exactly where the airbox is going to fit, so just kind of set it in place, and then you can work on that a little bit later. Push that in. There you go. And you need to install this grommet in here, which I already did. That's where that air hose that I snapped, so we'll have to figure out what we do about that in a second. And then we're going to lift this into place. Careful not to hit anything. Okay, and remember, this hose below is not really attached. And the reason for that is you want to leave yourself enough room to manipulate this box into position. Now the intake comes with this thing called a standoff, and all you're going to do is slide that grommet that was really hard to get out back in. So I'm going to put you guys down while I figure that out. I ended up hitting that grommet with a little bit of silicone grease to get it to slide in because it was being annoying. Now it's time to swap over the MAF sensor to the new intake pipe. These screws come with the intake. You cannot use your screws from the stock box, so don't try to do that. All I'm trying to do right now is make sure I install this the same way it was in the stock car. It was those two, and the clip was facing up that way. And it's gonna be snug in there because it needs to seal. Otherwise, I imagine you would get some not correct readings. So the only thing left to do is just these four 6mm hex bolts that hold this top section on. I've already gone through and slid the grommet on, and I started these by hand. It was actually easier if you're doing this. Don't put this top front grommet on yet. Do these first. Get those situated because you need to be able to kind of slide back and forth. It is all in. I will say that quality of the product is actually really high. I really like it. The install was fairly straightforward. Their instructions I would not say are the best, but they're passable and usable, and it looks good. I think right now probably what you guys want is let's go for a POV drive. Okay guys, so I just finished the install. I'm sitting in the car now. We're gonna go for the first startup, make sure everything's off, and let's see what it sounds like. So initial impression is that idle, don't actually hear anything. So thus far, seems pretty much like stock, but let's go for a quick drive around the block, get the car warmed up, and then we'll see if we can play around with it. So I'm in Eco Pro right now, literally don't hear anything. So let's pull over for a second and we will try, let's just go for sport. All right, we're in sport mode. Oh, so I don't know if you can pick that up, but you hear a nice little, almost like a blow-off valve kick. I'm barely touching the throttle right now because obviously the car's not warm. what I'll probably do is I'll probably stop this video and pick it up after I've warmed up the car. And what I've been playing around with while I've been warming up the car is you almost hear nothing in eco. Actually, you hear nothing in eco. And then in comfort mode, you really don't hear anything. Sport, you definitely do. So I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna take this highway on ramp, and hopefully you guys will get a nice little sound as I take it on. Nice little yield sign would be perfect for a jump on. So I'll have to do this again with active sound design off. I'm thinking you probably only heard active sound design and nothing else. You know, for the most part, not really hearing the intake too much. I mean, you hear it when you let off. Sucks in a bunch of air, but when you're just driving around, from my point of view, not much different. You know, everyone likes to show you those videos with the hood open. Well, you don't drive that way, so that's not a great representation of what you're actually going to feel or hear. And so, yeah, that's kind of what's going on. See if someone will let me in. That's good. Oh, that's a lovely accident. So I'm just popping on and off the gas for you guys, so you can hear it. It's really when you let off that you hear it actually more than anything. And then if you, actually I found if you downshift, I guess if you wanted to be all hot boy, you could get next to someone and just downshift. I'm gonna take the U-turn, head back towards my house. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that POV video. A little bit of excitement as we pass the police officers doing their job. Gotta be tough to be out here in the middle of Corona. You know, if we're honest about it, I mean, that's got to be a really, really hard thing. They don't want to be near anyone. You got people getting into an accident. No one's happy about that.